Lower order academic career coaching is all about systematizing forward progress. And what I mean by that is that we come up with those day to day, week to week, month to month, recurring sets of work habits that you know are making sure that the important things that need to get done. We live constantly with the tyranny of the now, right? So there's always an inbox full of emails. There's people popping into the office. There's life tasks that you have to do outside of work, and it's very easy to get caught up into those. And sometimes we'll make a block of time and set it aside, and oh, that's when we're going to write for 3 or 4 hours. Well, if the only way you can get some of your most important work done is by blocking out huge chunks of time, that can get pretty tricky, and it's very easy to then let some of that time get whittled away. It never happens. And then this is also very linked to the idea of writer's block. So writer's block, or that feeling where you open up a word processor and there's just that blinking cursor on a blank screen just staring at you, and that can be super anxiety inducing. But you don't have that same experience if you're staying engaged in a project at a regular set of intervals. You don't even have to spend lots of time on the project. You just have to stay close to the questions, the ideas, for your brain to be marinating on connections and concepts related to that in the background. And then that's how you have these aha moments much more regularly. You're driving and listening to the radio, or you're in the shower, you wake up from a dream, or overhear a conversation, and you suddenly have this moment of inspiration. And there's brain science about this and such, but those aren't divine moments of inspiration. They're your subconscious processing things, because you've kept a project close enough to you that your mind is working on it, even when you're not putting front of mind cognitive thought into it. Now, certainly you will do a lot of that in academia as well, but we want to set up your day-to-day and week-to-week routines in such that you're getting the most important things done, if not first, which is actually incredible advice. What's the hardest thing you have to do today? Okay, do it first. But even if that's not the particular strategy you adopt, we have to make sure that you are prioritizing the things that are the most important. I mean, I know it sounds simple, and we all kind of know this, but an academic career coach isn't always here to tell you shocking things that you didn't know. It's there to just make sure you do it. That's the hardest part sometimes, implementation, right? We all know the good advice we should do in lots of areas of our life, but how do we make sure that we actually build habits and processes and practices that make sure that happens? I love this analogy of a jar, and you want to fill it with rocks and pebbles and sand and water. And how do you do that? Well, if you don't put the rocks in first, it was not going to work very well. You're not going to get large rocks in there. So if you put them in first while it's empty, then you pour the pebbles in, they fall around the rocks. Then you pour the sand in, they fall around the pebbles, and then you fill the rest with water. If you do it the other way around, you don't have room left to put those biggest chunks in. And so in this analogy, the rocks do not mean large blocks of time. They mean the most important projects. And the most important projects or tasks in those projects, they may not have externally imposed deadlines. And so we together have to come up with how to make sure those get priority over the emails. That's the water, right? Or get priority over submitting something to the conference. That's maybe a pebble. It's important, and it has a deadline. But a lot of the things like looking for that next mentor, or doing some of that investigative reporting type stuff I talked about previously, where you're looking for new opportunities and angles and doors where they aren't immediately clear. Well, that takes time. And abstract project tasks, sometimes when we don't really know for sure what to do next, we put them off. We procrastinate them. And even more seductive, we do productive procrastination, right? We come up with something that's, we're cleaning the house, or we're replying to those emails, and we feel like we're getting something done. But you can end up having day after day after day after day go by and not feel like you made a really important step forward on a project. And so this lowest order level of systemizing forward progress is making sure a day doesn't go by, and certainly not two. that you didn't feel like you are one step closer to something really meaningful rather than just doing busy work.